in some ways, you become, what I would say anyway, the chaplain of death row almost.
You could
when
say,
it comes to reading this.
yes.
I mean, it's kind of one of those deals where I go, man, you start a book club,
Yes.
you do ministry type stuff in there, and I'm laughing a little bit because it's the last place that you would think of someone want to do ministry.
Absolutely, and let me, I didn't put quite. You can't put 30 years on a book, but
Yeah.
I never will forget when I was trying to teach people about God, and guys would say, "Well, if your God is so great, why did He allow you to come here? You say you're innocent. Why didn't He protect you? Why did He allow you to come here?" And I remember reading in the Bible, the book of Titus. It tells you to avoid foolish questions. And I thought what they were saying was foolish. And so I didn't give it no response. I didn't give it no thought. And I kept on saying, things happen in this world that we will never be able to explain.
Wow.
But I am a true believer that God has sent me here for a reason. I said, now, unlike a lot of you that is guilty, I know I am truly innocent. I said, but it don't matter whether I'm innocent or guilty. The thing is, we all are here. Let's live in harmony, and let's live in peace, and let's travel the world. And they said, what you mean traveling the world? I said, well, I want to start a book club.
On death row, by the way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And can you imagine starting a book club when those men that was on death row dropped out, and I used to go, what grade you dropped out in school? And they would say the seventh grade, the seventh grade, the seventh grade, the seventh grade, and the eighth grade. I said, hold up. The police, nobody came and made you come to school? And they would say, oh, gee, don't nobody really care whether we went to school or not. Our parents didn't care. The community didn't care. The teachers didn't care. Nobody cared, OG. And I began to understand what it was that make men do the things that they do. They really feel no one cared. And I used to pray, Lord, if it's your will, always, if it's your will, give me the sight to try to get these men to see how important it is to love you and understand you and to see that they are better than what they've been convicted of. And every day I would just wake up with a smile, and every day I would tell them, hey, everybody alive, say I'm alive. And I said, I want to go to the warden and ask him about a book club. And I did. And like anybody, he was skeptical. What are y'all trying to plot to do now? And I said, what? Nothing.
Which was our book club?
Absolutely. I said, warden, wouldn't you prefer us to read a book than to think about all the devilish thing we could be doing, like throwing feces out on your officer? Wouldn't you prefer them to be in a book and learning to travel in their mind? And he said, let me think about it. And I first went and asked him, I would like to have 14 people. And he said, no, I'm not going to put 14 death row inmates together.
He's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
No.
Yeah.
And so he thought about it, and he sent for me, and he said, I'm going to allow you to have 6. And one of the first person that came to my mind that I wanted to get in this book club was Henry Francis Hayes, the Ku Klux Klansman.
Wow.
The one that had committed as one would say, the ultimate crime, a hate crime. And I said, that is the man that I want. And I went and asked Hayes, would you be interested in joining a book club where you read books, and then you're going to have to come out with 6 of us and explain what you thought about the book. Think about it. Not giving the book away, but this Klansman had did something, lynched a young black male, and here I was trying to get this Klansman. The first book I gave him to read was about a black author, James Baldwin, Go Tell It on the Mountain. And Henry read that book, and Henry got up and cited what he got out of the book, and I already knew only God can change your heart.
Wow. You learn a lot on death row, and one of the things you say about compassion is it has no color.
Oh no.
And I'm fast forwarding here just a little bit for just for time's sake. I wish we'd go on all day. Talk to us about Brian Stevenson, because and I want to say this too. Before the sentencing actually starts, you actually say that God is going to get you out of this.
Absolutely.
I mean, like you believe that from day one.
Day one, absolutely.
And so tell me about Brian Stevenson.
Well, Brian Stevenson came into my life, and Brian Stevenson, they monitor death row cases in Alabama and other states.
Yeah.
So they work diligently to try to get sentences reduced and stuff. And so Brian Stevenson had sent me a lawyer, and I didn't know who Brian Stevenson was.
Yeah.
But I always said that God was going to open up this case.
On day one, you said that. Yeah.
And so I said, I may not be here, but God going to open this case up. And so in 2005, Brian Stevenson came into my life and took over my case. And Brian Stevenson is one of the most amazing human beings one could ever see. And I often call him God's best attorney. Number one.
Yeah.
As I sit there in my cell and I realize, I said, God have sent me his best attorney. Of all the billions of attorneys in the world, he sent me his best.
Wow.
Not his second best, not his third best,
But
his best. And Brian Stevenson, when I met him, the moment I shook his hand, I could not, and to this day I can't explain it, but I knew then, the moment I shook this man's hand, that God had sent me his best. We sat there and we talked about our childhood, and I said, Mr. Stevenson, the state of Alabama is lying. If no two guns is alike, I said, the state of Alabama know that gun is not the murder weapon. And he listened patiently. And as the years went by, one day Alabama rules every Friday. The Alabama Criminal Court of Appeal makes a ruling, the Alabama Supreme Court makes ruling on death row inmate cases. And so one Friday, the guard said, you need to call your attorney. I called Mr. Stevenson, and in his voice, I could tell that it was bad news. And I said, hello, Bryant? He said, yes, Ray. I said, how you doing? And he said, I'm not good, Ray. The Alabama Supreme Court turned us down. And at that moment, something within me, and I know it wasn't nothing but the Spirit of God, made me go into character. I said, Mr. Stevenson, Ray is no longer here. I am Anthony. Anthony, Ray want me to tell you that he wants you to go home. Read a good book, get you a glass of wine, go out to dinner, just do whatever you can do.
Yeah.
Just have a great weekend. And he kept trying to say, Ray, I said, Mr. Stevenson, Ray is not here. I'm Anthony. But Ray wanted me to tell you, don't worry about this ruling today. He wants you to go out and enjoy your weekend, and he gonna call you first thing Monday. So Mr. Stevenson goes into character and said, okay, Anthony, tell Ray I expect his call Monday. Well, Monday morning come, and I told him I would call him exactly at 9 o'clock. I called at 9, and I could hear the change in his voice. He was lively now, and I said, Brian, this is Ray. He said, good morning, Ray. I said, how you doing this morning? He said, I feel great. I said, did you enjoy your weekend? He said, Ray, thank you. And I got to thinking, what lawyer would want to ask a convict, can I enjoy a weekend for a change? This told me everything I needed to know about this man's character. This told me how this man was rooted deep into saving my life because he couldn't even enjoy a weekend unless I gave him permission.
Wow.
This told me that no other lawyer would ever ask an inmate, can I enjoy a weekend? And when he told me that he had a great weekend, I said, okay, Mr. Stevenson, then today is Monday. I told you I would call you at 9 o'clock. The weekend is over with. Get back on that case. And I said, I'll talk to you later. We hung up. And for 16 years, he, along with the other lawyer, he worked diligently. And I often tell people, this lawyer just didn't care about Anthony Hinton. He cared about all the Anthony Ray's Hinton that is condemned unjustly in this country, in this state. If only we had a few 100,000
Just like
Brian Stevenson, oh, the justice system would be in trouble, but it would be in trouble in a good way.
Wow. It's It's an amazing story. Two last questions. What did God teach you about patience and long suffering? Because 30 years go on here. This is not just hey, we're in out a year or two. 30 long years.
Well, you know, another saying my mom always would tell me, wait on God. And she would say, when they gonna let you come home? I said, when God get ready, Mama. You know how that is. You told me all my life, wait on God. He opened doors when he get ready. And she said, that's right, baby. She said, but I just want you to come home. And so 30 years I sit there patiently, and God gave me the opportunity to change men that had done something terrible, to show them a different way. And sometime in life, it takes one to be in the same position that you're in before you understand. And I often tell people to go back. I think God showed me where he could show others that Henry Francis Hayes had been taught how to hate all his life. Henry Francis Hayes was taught from the moment he was conceived how to hate. Henry Francis Hayes was, I call it, brainwashed by his father, by his mother, and by his community. And what kills me is the fact that we as a community, we love to say it takes a village to raise a child, and I often ask this question, where was that village when this young boy was being mentally abused? Yeah. Where was the church when this young boy was being mentally abused? And you know, in this day in society, if a kid go to school and the teacher see any kind of marks on him, by law she is required or he is required to call the authority. I'm sure Hayes went to school and used every kind of racial slur that he could. No one called the authority. But the moment Hayes go out and make a violent act, that same village said, this country, this state would be better off if you wasn't in it. And so when Hayes came to death row, I didn't know him, I didn't know who he was. We became friends, and we were friend of friendship. And on the night Henry Hayes was executed, they asked you two things in Alabama. What is your last meal request? And do you have anything you want to say? And I often would tell Hayes when he told me, he said, I want an 8-ounce steak. I said, well, you ready to die then? I would never tell him I want an 8-ounce steak. I said, I'm going to tell them if it come my time, something that they got to go in the forest and find. And when they come back with it, I'm going to say, that ain't it. You got to go back.
Let's keep going.
And so, yeah, that's the human I would give him. And finally, on the night of his execution, Hayes said, all of my life, my father lied to me. My community lied to me. The very people that they taught me to hate is the very people that showed me what love really is. And tonight I leave this world truly knowing what love feels like. And he died. And so I thank God allowed me to get to Hayes in time to say, hey, I understand from a child you was taught to hate. I understand that you only did what a child do is that do what his parents tell him. But I want you to know that God forgive you. And now you need to find a way to forgive yourself. And over the 15 years that I got to know you, you have shown me that if someone had got to you in time and showed you love, I don't believe you would have been here. And so to me, God showed me what patience can do. And God showed me that on his own time, nobody else's, he'll open the door for you. And I often tell people, the day that I meet God, I'm going to hug him and give him a big old hug. And I'm going to say, what took you so long? 30 years you let me sit.
Like, really? Can we write this up a little faster?
And what took you so long? And so I tell people I think humor is good for the soul. And so that's one of the things that God allowed me to spread throughout the prison was humor. Wow. And I think humor is just good for the soul, and it makes you realize, hey, even on death row, God still loves you. And I would tell the guys, you know, God hate the sin, but he still love you.
Yeah. Last question, and I did a lot of research on you here. I feel like I've gotten to know you, and I said to everyone, but for you, I really feel like I stalked you to a certain degree. My wife would say that too. I don't think anyone's ever asked you this question, but the book is titled "The Sun Does Shine." It's pretty much in memory to your mom.
Yes.
When you get to heaven, what do you want to say to her?
I want to tell her thank you.
I mean, she was, and as I was reading the book, I mean, she came out so much in it that it was one of those things where when I get to heaven, I want to meet her. Because her grace, her tenacity, her patience, her love, I mean, it comes out through you in the book. And last quote here, I gotta read this. You go, God is in the plan. I ain't worried about what you believe. I don't want to be electrocuted, you go on to say. Well, but whatever way the Lord have me go, I'm ready to go.
Yes.
I told you this before, there were certain parts of this book that I did cry in. That was one of them.
Well, you know, my mom, if I had a wish for every child that is born, I wish they could be born to a mother like mine.
Wow.
My mother loved me unconditional. She was one of those that when you do wrong, she would not uphold it. And when I remember as she would take a belt to me, she would get through whipping me and she would tell me to come in and hug me. And she would say, I whooped you because I love you. And I used to say, well, Mama don't love me, please. But my mom was the person, she would always had these quotes. And she would say, you are responsible for how you treat others. You are not responsible for how they treat you.
Wow.
And my mom didn't see color. She seen people. And she used to say that we all are God's children. And she said, and for those that find themselves hating you, they missing out. You're not missing out. You just always remember that God created you in the image that he wanted you to be. And if he had wanted you to be any other color, he would have made you that color. So you embrace that and don't you ever let anyone make you feel ashamed of who you are. And she's no matter where you go, always carry God with you.
Man. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been riveting. I got to tell you, the book was great. I'm with Oprah on this one. It's a must read.
No, thank you.
Man, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.